Hey heroes, this is MikeE-El from the Comic Book Syndicate. We're here to review Black Panther. This movie does not feel like any other Marvel movie, and that's the main reason I really like it. It didn't feel like it was a trailer for every other Marvel character. It told its own story, right? It didn't really go beyond its own little self-contained universe, and for that reason I thought it was really good.
It reminded me of like how the first Guardians movie was like, it could have been its own thing. It
Exactly.
didn't have to be in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, to Black Panther's definite benefit. And it even works well with the plot because Wakanda is a secluded nation, right?
Yes,
So it's like,
good
so
point.
we don't need to have this at all. But it was just, it didn't feel like a Marvel movie in a really good kind of way though.
Yep.
Yes.
Like, I want every other Marvel movie to look at this movie and go, oh, we don't have to make the same movie over and over and over again.
Or we can take a character whose world is like pretty unknown, has never been explored before, and make like a really, really good movie out of it, just like this one. So please make more of these.
And sometimes you'll hear people say, well, how can they make a movie out of such and such character? No one's ever heard of them. Well, most people have not heard of the Black Panther, right?
Yeah, until Civil War happened.
Right, and he doesn't have any previous live action or animated adaptations, right? So this is pretty much the first time, other than Civil War, that people have seen him. And I think this movie, again, could stand on its own, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's going to develop its own audience. And people are going to like it not because it's a superhero movie or Marvel movie, but because it's a good story, right? And the story was its own story.
And it's a good story with phenomenal characters, really great character development, and oh my god, it looked amazing. It wasn't this dreary backdrop, it was colorful, it was bright.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the costume design. I don't even know.
A movie called Black Panther, where the character is in a black and deep purple costume, is the most vibrant, the brightest Marvel movie.
Yeah, it is.
Whoever was visually designing all of the outfits, like everything for Wakanda, the culture behind it, because they have to create an entire culture. There's like bits and pieces that they can take from the comic books, right? But some of those things don't adapt to film, so you kind of have to make an entire country with history, and you start from the bottom up, and that's exactly what they did, and it was magnificent.
And you know, every time I see one of these movies, I gotta say, it makes me more impressed with the creativity of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, because every one of these characters is so completely different. And when you look at Black Panther, he was introduced in Fantastic Four, but the history is so rich. Like, he thought of so much, like, let's make him a king. Let's make him the king of the most technologically advanced civilization in the world. And let's make it in Africa. And let's make it the home of, you know, where vibranium is mined, right? Like, there's just so much there to work with.
And that's the good thing about doing a story that exists around a mineral that doesn't exist, is that there's a lot of room for you to quote unquote fall for comic book logic. So when wild and crazy things happen that sort of revolve around technology and mysticism, you don't question it. I found myself just not questioning those kinds of things at all.
There was no suspension of disbelief.
Oh, at all. Because in no physical reality could he been able to accomplish some of the things that he did, yet he did. And I was there for it.
Shuri even has a line where she's like, it's not magic, it's science. And I was like, yeah, duh, it is science, because she's a scientist. And I was like, wait a second. They're healing fatal wounds and...
In hours.
Yeah, and like doing amazing things. But I was like, oh yeah, she's just real smart. She could do it. Like, I immediately just fell head over heels in love with this entire country and all of its people and everything that had to do with it, because it was just like so rich and well developed, especially for a Marvel movie. Because I mean, like, I'm a big fangirl. Like, I have 600 million different Marvel accessories. Like, I buy everything. I'm a trash. But like, this movie was generally a good movie.
And the thing is there was no moment where you rolled your eyes. There was no moment where you had to just go, okay, it's a movie. Was there a moment for you?
When Michael B. Jordan decided he was going to take over Wakanda just to play mumble rap through the entire, like...
Yeah, but he took his shirt off when he decided that, so it was okay.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like he fit his character, because he felt like a teenager trying to get back at the system.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm just going to blare my loud music, and I'm going to sit on the throne, and I'm going to pretend to be an adult that I'm not emotionally capable of being.
And the thing is his character, I think at the end of the movie, someone said he's not really the villain, right? Like, he has he has his own arc, he has his own motivation that makes sense. And so when you understand his full story, he doesn't really come off as a bad guy.
Yeah, so for people who are watching, who possibly have not watched, is that he's Wakandan, but does not grow up in Wakanda. He grows up in North America. So he is a product of poverty in California, in Black America.
Right.
So he comes to Wakanda knowing what it is. So, and he is of the mind that he needs to share that with the world.
And it's interesting because the different parallels between T'Challa and Eric is they both are trying to fight the system in completely different ways that are not effective. And they both realize that too. It's like Eric comes from this rage and he's like, we need to do exactly what they're doing to us. And Wakanda comes from the sense of like, no, we have to keep the peace, we need to keep quiet, we need to stay hidden, but the solution's somewhere in the middle.
Even the one line where he was like, I'm not sure, I can't remember the actor's name who's from Get Out, but he is the leader of another tribe.
Yes.
Even when he says, well, what about the refugees? And Black Panther's like, well, what about the refugees? You let them in, and then, but he's talking about...
They bring all their problems.
Yeah, they bring with refugees come problems, and it's like, their problems are exact mirrors of our problems. And when he speaks that line, all of a sudden, the refugee problem for me, there's no refugee problem. It's raceless, it's faceless. Everyone has that same issue, and it's echoed softly. They don't hit you over the head with the politics of it, but it's echoed softly throughout the film, and I think it's really important.
There's parallels in the film to what's going on with, there's references to building a wall or building
borders.
Building borders, right?
We have to protect our borders.
Right.
Like that whole tribe is to protect the borders.
Absolutely. Right? So there's definitely political references in this film, which there have been in superhero comics since Action Comics #1.
Yeah, since two Jews decided that they wanted someone to fight their oppressor.
Exactly. So we love politics in superhero films.
This is the smartest Marvel movie. This is the best move Marvel could have made. This is the best cast in a Marvel movie. This is the best acted Marvel movie. Best looking.
This is the best Marvel movie that doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. This is the best Marvel movie that could arguably be not a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Out of all of the nerdy movies we've seen in the last 10 years, this is my favorite that's come from previous comic book novels, Star Wars, any of that. This is probably one of my favorites, and it feels more important than I think people are going to come out of it going, oh yeah, good movie. It's I feel like this is important.
I think it's going to stick around, you're right. And I think the thing is I don't think everything Marvel does is great, but I think this is, you're right, it's the right move right now, especially because they're Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Pine.
No, Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. All the Chris's.
The other one.
They're all getting to the point where they're probably going to eventually move out of these roles, or maybe they'll move those characters out. So it's good that they're introducing Doctor Strange and Black Panther and these other characters. And this is the right direction to go in, to get new characters into people's minds so they can set up maybe a completely new team of Avengers, right?
I'd watch that. I would actually, we don't even need the Avengers. We just need Black Panther and his group of badass women we'll be fine. If you care at all about superhero movies, about people, about people of color, about representation, about good movies.
Yeah.
You should go see this movie.
Excellent costume design.
And we should give a special shout out to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, who in the mid-60s, when they created Black Panther, there was resistance from the South. There was fear of boycotting from Southern readers. They did it anyway, and now because of that, 50 years later, now we have this great movie that people all over the world can enjoy, and it took courage to do it then, and it takes a little bit of courage now to do it, right? There's always that resistance it shouldn't, you're right, but Hollywood still believes that movies starring women can't be successes, women starring blacks can't be successes, and in the last year we've had Wonder Woman and Black Panther, and
this is a critical success, and I can't see it failing. There's no way it's going to fail at the box office.
Black Panther. We want to give a special thank you to Gabby for letting us shoot here at Wizards of Walkerville.
More to come from everyone's favorite board game cafe.